this session on my computer. So, okay,
You're ready to start.
yeah. So let me call to order this meeting of the City of St. Louis Board of Public Service Soldiers Memorial Commission. Today is Thursday, March 21st, 2024, and it's about 3:04 p.m. And my name is Linnea, and I chair the commission. And we will proceed according to the agenda. And the first thing on the agenda is a roll call of Soldiers Memorial Commissioners, and we'll do that in alphabetical order. So the first one would be Commissioner Barjay.
Here.
Commissioner Dunlap? Not here. Commissioner Fletcher?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Hansis? I know I saw Judith. She must be muted. Judith?
Here.
Yep.
Sorry, I was muted.
No problem. I'm here, and Bruce Yampolsky, I don't think he's here. Haven't heard from him for a while. Okay, well then let's just move to the second thing on the agenda, the Pledge of Allegiance. And Judith, could you lead us in the pledge? And let me get the page up here for me. Oh, wrong page, sorry. Here, can you guys see the flag?
No.
Cannot. Okay, so what did I do here? Okay. What did I do? 1 second here. Get the right page up here.
I can see one over President Bradley's shoulder.
Yeah, that we've got one.
You've got
We're good to go. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the
United
United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, that's great. Let me see if I can get the agenda up here now. See if I get it here. And here we go to I had this up here before. Now it's not working right. Okay.
Thanks.
See if I had this up here before, and now it's not working right. Okay. Let's see. Tony, are you there? Tony?
Yes. Sorry, what's going on?
With this, I can't get the share screen thing to work here now.
You said you're on your phone?
Yep.
Does that have share screen?
Yep, it does.
I'm not sure what's going on because we don't block anybody from sharing. So
Well, I've done it several other times. I've done this, but I can't seem to get it to come up anymore today. Shoot.
I just tried it. It seems
You
to
might just want to read the agenda and walk on through it.
Do that then. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is approval of the January 18th, 2024 and September 21st, 2023 Soldiers Memorial Commission meeting minutes, which of course I have here somewhere, which you guys don't have. If I can get them. Oh, Christ's sakes. Okay. Okay, I've got these options: Dropbox, so box, website, bookmark. I don't know. I got it. I think I got it here. I think I do. Okay. Got it. There you got it. Yes. There you should have it.
Woohoo!
Hooray. Thank you. You know, I've had such problems since I switched to this OIS 17 operating system, and hopefully they will, or I'll get better at them as we move forward. But right now I'm still a little bit iffy all the time. The first one we have is the September 21st, 2023 meeting minutes. If you guys could look through those, and then I can call for an approval. We have them.
Is there more than a page?
That's just it. Oh, sorry, there is more than a page. No, you're right, Judith. There's a second page. Do I have a motion to approve the September 21st, 2023 Soldiers Memorial Commission meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Anyone, all in favor of approving the September 21st, 2023 meeting minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nay, okay. Okay, thank you very much. And then the second one will be for the last meeting we had in January 18th, 2024, and this is just one page.
I move we approve.
Thank you, Judith. The
Second.
second. Thank you. Anyone, all in favor of approving the January 18th, 2024 meeting minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No, okay. Any abstentions? No. Okay, thank you so much. And now we can move on to Mark, who's going to give us a 5-year summary, sort of what's going on, what they've been doing, and what they're looking ahead to do at, or his staff is looking ahead to do at Soldiers Memorial in the next 5 years. Mark, I hand it over to you there.
All right, thanks, Linnea. I'll pull up my slides. I think you need to stop sharing and then I'll start sharing, I think is what it's telling me.
Out here. Okay, let me get it here. Stop share. Come on.
By the way, Mark, that was a beautiful job you did with that session at the memorial.
Oh, thanks, Judith. Yeah, Linnea had asked that I kind of repeat that and do it for the rest of the commission here. So hopefully I'll do as okay as I did then. Let me
There we go.
that's the one. Let's see. From the beginning. So just a little bit of background. We basically built a 5-year strategic plan over the last course of the year, I guess. And then this is a kind of a presentation of both looking back and looking ahead at Soldiers Memorial. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years already, since we reopened. It still kind of blows my mind that it's been that many years. It's gone so quickly. So kind of just a little bit of a look back and then looking ahead as well. And of course, you all know this story very well, the transfer of the operations to the Historical Society, then the closure for the $30 million investment, and then the reopening in Veterans Day, November 2018. And so this is kind of how it's gone. Wanted to give you a little bit of idea of the team here and how things kind of operate under the Missouri Historical Society. Of course, Jody Sowell is the president. I'm the managing director here for the museum. And there's the staff in yellow there, the staff that are essentially assigned to work here. This is where they spend their time. So you all know Molly. Probably some of you may have met Jose. He started maybe 8 months ago. The education coordinator position, that was Lydia Prebish, and Lydia just left us last Friday, but she didn't go far. She's still within the Historical Society, but she took a position as the membership coordinator for our philanthropy team. So still in the MHS family, but no longer here. So that's one vacant position. Adam Presswood does a little bit of oral history work for us, very, very part-time. Andrew Schleicher is a front desk navigator. Kate, of course, leads the collections team. And then her assistant, Ella, took a position, I think 3 weeks ago, down back home in Birmingham. She was from Birmingham, Alabama. And so Ella had a good job opportunity there and got back home close to her mother and father and her siblings. So we're going to miss her, but we're ready to move forward as well. And then, of course, you all know Mike Bensel, the military and firearms curator. Then there's a couple of staff that are basically shared. That's Abby Sarver-Verhey, who's the exhibition designer, and Jesse Nenninger, who's the exhibition preparator. And a preparator is, it's kind of like a carpenter, basically puts the exhibits together and, you know, installs platforms, cases, graphics, things like that, a lot of the installation work. And then, of course, Linnea, the superintendent, and then Vernon, resource protection here at Soldiers. And then there's a number of other staff that are primarily here, and they all fall under the facility and administration. So Karen Garing's division, primarily that's resource protection and facilities. Most of you know Nate. Natalie has been around for a while, so has Andrew Ledgerwood, Natalie Stevens, Paul Mills. Sean is relatively new, but most of those folks have been here for at least 3 years, if not a little bit longer. And then the facility services, Dan Phillips is the maintenance technician, and then both Essie and Lavette take care of the housekeeping here. So that's kind of the team and how things are structured, and how it operates here. So looking back, just some of the key moments, and the highlights, I guess, and there's no way I could put these in order of preference, but of course the grand reopening, as you all remember, back in November of 2018, a really special moment, in a big day for us. And then I think one thing for me was when we added the additional 254 names to the Vietnam Memorial. That memorial was established in 1978. And just given the challenges in technology at the time, they just missed a number of folks from the city who, you know, had lost their lives in the war, deserved to be on there. So for Memorial Day last year, we basically dedicated that new memorial. And for me, that was, you know, that was a moment in my career that's probably the most important thing that I think I've probably ever done. It was just incredibly important day, really moving, and to see all of the families and friends of these individuals come out for that Memorial Day was really special. And now all those individuals who deserve that recognition in the Court of Honor are now there and will be there for years and years to come. So then the Vietnam exhibit's been quite a thing, and this is Richard Anchus and William Reich. Richard was the little shorter guy from the Army. William Reich was a Air Force Academy grad and an F-4 pilot in Vietnam. Both were prisoners of war during the Vietnam War, and so this was among all the other special moments that this exhibit has brought. Their visit was really very memorable for me. But there's been countless of these moments with veterans of the war and family members coming back and learning more about this history and recalling and sharing their own stories as well. And then stand down. This isn't a good photo, but it's hard to capture it in photo. So this is the 4th Saturday of every September now. In fact, right before this meeting, I just came out of the first meeting for this year's planning committee. But we had over, I think, 160 or 170 veterans here on site, and over 50 organizations. We filled all the spaces. On the second floor, every nook and cranny was filled with either some kind of business or resource provider. And this event's all about getting resources into the hands of veterans who are in pretty desperate need of them. And whether that's homeless veterans or those who are at very high risk of homelessness, this is a really special moment. And for me, and I think for all of you, you know, this is Soldiers Memorial. I mean, there's nothing better, I think, that we can do than support these veterans that need help. You know, I love the exhibits. You know, I love the history. It's all important, but you know, helping people now and today who need the help, it's a critical part of what Soldiers Memorial is all about.
I
And then-
agree. Can I ask a question on that, Mark?
Yeah, you bet, Jason.
I
Thank
didn't
you.
know if we could ask questions during
Oh,
this.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I actually have somebody who's actually on, well, he is family. He's on my wife's side, but he is a veteran. And he has never, so this is a very quick question. He has never been able to get his DD 214, or well, let me rephrase. He served 6 years, active duty, Kosovo, all over, and then he went to reserve. And he's really struggling over the last like 2 years. He's gone to the Federal Record Center. He filled out all the stuff online, and he got his packet in the mail that showed all the different places he's been in the world for the Army, but never has he ever gotten his DD 214, and he's needing help because he is unemployed now, unfortunately, and he has some other issues. So yeah, I'm at a loss because I've helped him. Like we filled the stuff out online. We actually went to Jefferson Barracks and asked them, like, what do you guys do when you need service members' records? And they said, well, call the state archives, go to the Federal Records Center on Page. And everything they've ever said, we've never been able to get done. So I'm sorry I'm asking, it is family, but I would do it for any military member. I'm such a, they deserve it. They just deserve it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's a great question. I'll email you and connect you with Chris Mendez. I don't know if Chris knows the answer, but he'll know who knows the answer.
Okay.
Because that my response would probably be what you've heard already. But Chris works with, the homeless population. I'm sure he runs into this quite regularly.
Yeah.
So I'll connect you to, and then hopefully through that he can point you in the right direction and get you going.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's kind of the lead partner of the stand down.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to second that. I think this is Linnea. Chris would be the person I would say too. He's just at the center of everything right now, and he has a lot of energy, and he's very resourceful.
Yeah, that would be great. I have a lot of family and friends as well that are in the service, and they have also weighed in on this. And because of my family history and all that stuff, I'm just really, really want to help in any way I can for any veteran. And it's been really hard. He's really struggling. And I've asked him, well, anyway, this is recorded, so I won't give names or anything right now. But yeah, I just really hope that I can get the right information to help him, because I've done all I can do. I've filled out all the stuff online. He gets these packets that shows that he was served in Kosovo and all these places, but never a DD 214. And everywhere he goes, when he goes to the VA hospital, they say you need to have your discharge papers, and he just can't get them.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issue is, but anyway, thank you for taking the time. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I remember from my out processing was whatever you do, keep your 214.
I know, and it's
they're
the
really
problem.
hard to get, and once it's gone, they're really challenging. So, but I bet Chris knows. He's had to have dealt with this before.
Yeah, and the problem is because he agreed to go reserve after active duty, and so I don't know if that's the problem, but that's what he thinks is the problem. It's not. It wasn't a clean separation. He went from active duty to reserves, and then he ended up not serving in the reserves. Like, it was an issue where he ended up just saying, that 6 years was enough. And so there's just some issue with that separation between the active and the reserve component. So anyway, I've spent too much time. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, no, it's great. Yeah, please interrupt as I go along here if you have questions, anybody. Certainly makes for a more engaging discussion.
Right.
Let me Veterans Day parade, and the ceremony is another key annual moment. Just such a cool day, and I think it's every year we try to make it a little bit better and better. I've had a lot of conversations with the Legion folks and others on different ways to improve it, grow attendance and whatnot. So I think it's so cool when all these units pass in front of soldiers.
It was awesome. We were there. My wife and I were there this year.
It's cool. Yeah,
it was great.
Yep. It's a special day. So here's getting into the beyond the good memories and all that. Here's some of the attendance. So you can see 18 and 19. And 18, crazy enough, is just really 2 months. It's November and December. So and then 19 was, big numbers again, 37,000. And that was, the marketing and the communications push that was done for the reopening. It was just, we were all over the news. And so that really fueled attendance. And then we got smacked with COVID in the early, right around this time, actually, mid-March of 2020, and shut down the building. We're closed for I think 2 or 3 months. Nobody was moving. Then when we did open, we had all kinds of restrictions on capacity and how people had to move through the building and the rest of that. But you can see since then we have been recovering. And 2023 was pretty good year. 21,000. We had hoped for more, and we hope for more this year. But that's kind of where we're at right now. But you can see 23 almost doubled over 22. So hopefully we're getting close to where we should be. But it's hard to know, since the reopening, exactly what attendance, what we should expect. There's no really good year that we have a good baseline. 23 is probably the best year that we have as a baseline since reopening, as far as attendance expectations. We're going to do our best to keep that growing. And then all the special exhibitions in that lower level, of course, we converted that into the temporary exhibition space. We opened with St. Louis and the Great War. That was up for about 1.5 years. Then we went into Righting a Wrong, Japanese Americans in World War II. And of course, right now, the current one is Vietnam at War and at Home. And that Vietnam exhibit closes, remember, that closes Memorial Day. So just another couple months. So if you have friends or whatnot who haven't seen it yet, they're running out of time. Hopefully with the closing, usually what we've seen, like at the History Museum and here as well, the closing of exhibits is your second big spike. The opening, everybody's excited about it and they come out. And then when you go to close it, all the procrastinators like me realize I got to get out there and see this thing before it's gone. So you see another spike in attendance there. So hopefully we'll get that in May. And then up the last day of that will be Memorial Day, Monday, May 27th. So to build the 5-year plan, basically started with our mission, core values, and vision. And as part of the Missouri Historical Society, we made the decision over 5 years ago that we all share the same mission. And so serving as the confluence of historical perspectives and contemporary issues to inspire and engage in St. Louis and beyond. And really, I've worked at other historic sites and, statewide systems and whatnot. And sometimes there's a tendency for the sites to want to have their own unique mission. And that can work. But we thought, for Soldiers Memorial, that it's important that we serve the same mission as the Historical Society. But to do that, playing to the strengths of Soldiers Memorial. Obviously, our place is very different than the History Museum, and we share different stories. We have different, the city-owned collection is very different than the MHS collection. So we really needed to play to the same mission, but to play to our strengths. And then the core values of the Historical Society, see those there. And then the vision. So as we started building this plan, we basically reviewed all this, talked about it, and then started setting the direction. But before we did that, we conducted a SWOT assessment. So this is a day-long retreat, basically, where we discussed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of Soldiers Memorial. And this is a thing that I've done with other museums and other places, but it really helps you get a grasp of who you are, where you stand, and what you have. So we looked at all the different areas: staff, facility, collections, exhibitions, partnerships, collaborations, programmings, marketing and promotion, community involvement, safety, visitors, everything that we could think of. We talked it through for a day, and that kind of told us, where we thought we stood and how we're gonna. You don't know if you don't know where you stand, you don't know how to get where you want to go. That's kind of the summation of that. So that SWOT assessment is important. And then the next thing we did was we looked at our audiences and said, well, all right, well, if we're doing this work, you know, who are we serving? You know, who are we targeting an audience? Of course, regional veterans was high on the list, active military, and then traveling tourists. This is a little bit different for us than, say, the History Museum. We, you know, Soldiers Memorial, its location downtown, its proximity to the convention center. There's opportunities for the museum there to really tap into tourists who are coming to downtown St. Louis and trying to get awareness to them that we're here and that they can come visit. Students, of course, and then targeted demographics. That's a kind of a goofy title that I use, but basically it's groups. It's people that you can reach in groups. So like Legion posts and VFWs and assisting living facilities and you know, Kiwanis clubs and, you know, all these people that, you know, they all kind of share one thing that makes it easy for you to get to them, to contact them and share information. And then, of course, at large is just everybody who doesn't kind of fit into that, just people that, you know, we want to draw out. So everything that we said we want to do in these next 5 years, you know, had to have an audience. If we're doing something, who do we hope to reach? Like who's, you know, why are we doing this specific thing? Like Stand Down, that's primarily regional veterans. You know, or not, that's not a thing for traveling tourists and students really, but you know, that event is looking at the regional veterans and making sure that they're getting services. So looking ahead, after we did the, you know, looked at the mission, core values, vision, did the SWOT assessment, looked at who we're trying to serve. Next, we said, all right, let's look ahead and see what we're going to try to do over these next 5 years. And really broke that into a number of different categories. The first one is education and community engagement. And then within that topic, we're looking at successful public programs, strong digital content, improving and expanding group tours, which we've had good success with, reaching schools and libraries, and then the giving circle, which is our donors who give that much more to Soldiers Memorial. A lot of them are members of the Historical Society, but then on top of that membership, they contribute additional support specifically to Soldiers Memorial. So making sure that we're serving them as well, and that we have strong programs for them. But probably the biggest thing strategy-wise was the public programming. And we, you know, over the last few years, we've tried and we're not very successful with what I call one-off programs. So these are lectures or panel discussions or something like that on a very kind of special topic. Attendance to those was dismal, and they just never really worked well. And I don't really know why. I think part of it is people just didn't think about Soldiers Memorial and think about downtown as the place to go to get that type of programming, that type of event. So what we're shifting to is these annual recurring programs. And the first one is next Friday, and it's a breakfast on National Vietnam War Veterans Day. It's a national day, and it's an avenue for us to do something special and do it on an annual basis. So these Vietnam veterans and their friends and family start to look at Soldiers Memorial on that day because they know there's going to be something here. And so this year we're doing a breakfast, going to be catered by Sugar Fire. It's free, no speeches, no big program or anything. We're just inviting all Vietnam veterans and their friends and family in for a free breakfast. And so far we have close to 60 registrations. So it's working. You know, our goal was, we didn't want to hold an event that had less than 50 attendees, that we, you know, want to make sure that these are drawing audiences. And so that's kind of a big target area for us, are these public programs. But then the other areas listed here are important as well. And here's just some photos, education and community engagement. There's the top pictures from Memorial Day, really well attended. The group tours there on the bottom left, and then on the bottom right is a program that Judith really enables and makes sure that, you know, we always have access to it. And that's this traveling banner show that goes to the athletic clubs and goes to other places as well. Over to 1520 Market Street, there's an exhibit right there in the lobby now. And Lydia did a lot of work before she left, connecting us with county libraries and the city libraries and schools, especially schools with JROTC programs we have about 6 or 8 of these banner shows now. And so we're trying to get them into additional places. But that's a photo of one there in the downtown athletic club. And then exhibitions, we need to maintain the temporary exhibition gallery. That was kind of a promise that the Historical Society made. The reason we, created that 4,600 square foot temporary gallery in the lowest level was to continue to bring new and different histories into that space. And then there's also the importance of the rotation, what we call rotations in the core gallery or St. Louis in Service gallery. Excuse me. Basically, that means taking artifacts that are on display off of display and replacing them with something similar, something that kind of maintains the storyline. But for preservation and conservation needs of the artifacts, it takes those artifacts off and puts something else there. It also enables us to show different artifacts from the collection, which is incredibly important. And then really working on youth accessibility. Lydia made great strides in this over the last couple of years. Scavenger hunt prizes. We have all these little rubber ducks now that the kids get. They look like little, they're dressed in different military uniforms, and the kids love it. But I think as important for the museum is that the parents love it. So they, they see the scavenger hunt and they know that there's something here to engage their kids while the parents are looking around as well. So the temporary exhibitions, our next one will be the Ghost Army, the con artists of World War II. It was actually in the news this morning. They just received, and they had the ceremony for receiving the Congressional Gold Medal for those units. It's a really cool story. These guys basically went with, they came in right after the landing at D-Day with all kinds of devices, inflatable tanks, inflatable howitzers, planes. They had fake radio communications, fake unit patches, all this stuff. So what happened was that the Germans were basically looking at this ghost army and they thought it was real. And so they had to leave German forces in position to basically defend against this fake army, which meant that the real army was off, hitting other parts of the German lines, which were weaker because the Germans had to leave forces committed to this ghost army. So just today, if you read, it's probably in other newspapers. I saw it in the Washington Post, was the article about their receipt of the Congressional Gold Medal. It was top secret until I think 96. It wasn't declassified for what is that? 50 years. It was kept secret. These guys never talked about it. Pretty cool. And then a few other ones that we're looking to bring in. The ones in the middle are some options that we're looking at between Ghost Army and our next really big exhibition, which will be Flags. And that's a working title there, but this will be curated by Mike Venso, produced in-house, but really an effort to get flags. The collection, there's a lot of flags in the collection, both the city-owned Soldiers Memorial collection and the MHS collection. So it should be a great exhibit, good way to show flags, but also people to think a little bit deeper about the meaning of flags and their power on people's behavior and action and whatnot. So it should be a good exhibit. It's at the very kind of early stages of development, but that'll be our next big in-house produced exhibition. And then collections, we have primarily the most important thing that we have to do is meet the agreement with the city of St. Louis. That was signed originally in 2014. Then we signed the operating agreement in 2015. But there's a whole list of mandates in there that we need to meet. And so there's no, that's always going to be primary. And then looking at strategically growing the collection, working with Mike and others to make sure that we have efficient donation processes in place that minimize the time and process and make sure that that goes well. That's an area that we need to tighten up, and we need to get a little bit quicker and more efficient with that stuff. And then collection storage space, Kate's always working over there in 1520 to maximize the use of that space. The rehousing, we really need to get the commission over there. You all need to see that space. It's remarkable the work that Kate and Ella have done over the last 3 years in terms of rehousing and organizing the collection. It's really quite remarkable. But always thinking about collection storage space, and we need to get her some storage racks for large flat items, and also some racks for some of the paintings and large prints that are in the collection. Of course, the collections, there's just about everything. There's photos, there's artifacts, there's archives. And then there's also, we have a small educational collection of things that people can actually touch and hold. These are things that either we bought or were donations that we weren't going to take into the permanent collection, maybe due to condition or whatnot. But there's a small educational collection, but it's nice for the kids and others to be able to connect with these things a little deeper. Then community partnerships, it's been cool. My time, I'm new to St. Louis, been doing this for 5 years now. There are an incredible number of organizations and people who are doing great work in all that they can to make sure that downtown St. Louis is everything that it can be. And so there's relationships that I'm building, trying to grow, sustain, the Great River Greenways, Explore St. Louis, Greater St. Louis Inc., Downtown Activation Committee. It's really cool. Like the more I get involved with these groups and the more you see how much passion there is for seeing downtown succeed, is really energizing. So need to do more of that work, need more of those relationships, need deeper relationships with all those groups, but it's coming along nice. And then looking at some volunteer engagement opportunities, potentially a Court of Honor team that helps us care for the outdoor space, whether it's cleaning it or maybe some little deeper work, working with JROTCs and university ROTC programs a little bit more. And then a volunteer outreach team who, maybe they table at events or they participate in parades or whatnot, but something that continues to push out, awareness about Soldiers Memorial. Great Rivers Greenways, this is a potential that is just waiting to happen. So if you've been up around the soccer stadium, you can see that the Brickline Greenway comes as far east as the stadium, but they're going to take that all the way down to the arch. It's going to pass right in front of Soldiers Memorial. So it's just and making sure that we have those partnerships in place to capitalize on that when it happens, that we're here. People need to know about us. People need to visit, things like that. And rentals and promotion, this basically falls under Molly's work, but there's a number of areas that we can improve here. I would say that, we have a very strong rentals and program, but there's more that we can do to promote it. There's more that we can do to promote soldiers in general. There's just more opportunity there, and there's more ways that we can grow it and develop it so we get some more programs. And when I say rentals, we don't get too many paid rentals, but we get a lot of use by active military units, which I love. We get the Coast Guards here quite often, they're located in the federal building downtown here, their unit, but they come over quite often for retirements, promotions, change of command. We get the Navy here, and some of the other units that are working downtown come over and use the building. And I think this is one of the coolest things to see those active military units here. There's Andrew Schleicher there at the Cardinals game. We do this, try to do this a couple times a year. But we table there with Explore St. Louis. So you see thousands of people Andrew's great at putting a brochure into everybody's hand as before they walk away from the table, so they know about Soldiers Memorial and they know what's happening. So it's kind of a cool thing. And then this rental on the this is a photo of the Correctional Peace Officers event that was here this summer. There was, I think, 500 people here for that. It's a huge event, all in the outdoor space, and that was essentially a rental. And that was really cool. It's neat when they want to use Soldiers Memorial for programs and people want to be engaged with it.
Yeah.
Then facility and security staff and administration, facility and security, we need some improvements in the lobby. It was a big investment in the building, but there's problems in the lobby. We need some work with abating some of the noise. The HVAC system's pretty loud in there. The doors, I've never been happy with the doors. And then the workspace for the staff there isn't all that great. So we really need to put some attention into that lobby and making sure that we make some improvements there. And then collection storage, noise abatement as well. In the winter, when they're running humidifiers in that space, it gets pretty loud. Doesn't get above OSHA loud. Gets up to about 65 decibels, which is cleared by OSHA, but it's loud enough to be annoying. And so we're looking at that. Outdoor signs, if you look around, you'll notice they're starting to fade. It's been 5 years, so we need to get a plan in place to start replacing those systematically. Talked a little bit with Linnea about some Purple Heart parking on Pine Street. Get maybe maybe 1 or 2 spots. I think we settled on in that space that would be, marked and designated for Purple Heart recipients. And then additional training for the resource protection officers. Our resource protection officers are part of the MHS system, and what the threats and the security and the safety issues that they face here are very different than what they face up at Forest Park. Downtown is just a different place, and so they need some additional training and support in that area. Then staff and administration, professional development for the staff. We need to recruit and hire and look at expanded diversity. Every time I've tried to hire, we look at veterans and I just don't get the applicants. And so we need to, I would love to hire more veterans, and hopefully with these 2 vacant positions, we can make that happen. But I mean, museum field's kind of a unique thing, and there's not a whole lot of folks who, have that background and training. And
Where do they go to look at or for positions that are open?
I think our HR team, I think, posts on LinkedIn, and they post on, some of the professional organizations. Like there's a organization called the American Association for State and Local History. It's a nationwide organization where we post, and that's where people in the museum field typically look there for jobs. They also look to the American Alliance of Museums, which is at the other national level. But then I think probably LinkedIn is probably one of the more common ones. And not LinkedIn, well, LinkedIn, but also Indeed, right?
Indeed
is the job. The job, yeah. Okay. And then, so, we've learned a lot in 5 years. It's not, you all know this from your years and years of involvement with Soldiers Memorial, but there's a lot of unique challenges to operate in a museum in a downtown setting. There's things that, things like parking, right? I mean, parking comes up all the time. Anytime we do anything, it's that question always comes up. Where am I going to park? It's like, we tell people, look, there's lots of parking downtown. There's almost never a shortage of it. It's just you do have to pay the meter, and you have to figure out how to do that. But things like that they're challenges, right? They do prevent people from, if they think there's someplace easier to go that they'll enjoy, they'll look for things that make it more difficult. And so, just there's things like that we need to address. And so, and things that we've learned, and you know, we've played around with when we have programs and, you know, are they on Sundays? Or, you know, you have to avoid, can't do anything on a Blues, when there's a Blues game, or, you know, we try to avoid Cardinals home games. All that stuff is, you know, things that you have to think about in a downtown setting that, you know, other museums that have more space, more, you know, big parking lots and the rest of it, you know, they don't really have to worry about a lot of that stuff. But we're using what we learned.
Have we worked with like the city to see if the city hall parking, or maybe it already can be used? I guess it can be used for the museum, as well as like the Enterprise Center.
Yeah, we do use city hall parking for our big days. So for Veterans Day, for Memorial Day, for stand down. And then the city has been usually, you know, very helpful in helping us make sure that, you know, if we need additional parking, we can get it. And, you know, Linnea every year clears a permit through the city that gives us kind of the ability to use the parking on Pine as we need it. You know, there's not a whole lot of spots there, but there's enough usually for, you know, if we're having a meeting like with these stand down folks, that we can, you know, permit some of those parking spaces and make things like that a little bit easier for folks. So we've learned a lot, and we're going to use what we've learned to, you know, improve operations and hopefully increase attendance, streamline what we do, look for efficiencies, look for effectiveness, and really continue to make Soldiers Memorial shine. It's a special place, as you all know. It's, you know, it's a gorgeous building. It's got this three-pronged mission of the memorial aspect, the museum aspect, and then serving, you know, either veterans or the active military. And so it's really neat. And, you know, we're doing fun things. We just yesterday, we ran a shuttle from, it was a program we started with county libraries. They, you know, to overcome some of the parking and the fear of downtown, whether it's, you know, real or perceived. We created a program with county libraries where folks can get on a shuttle out at a library and ride it downtown, and they get dropped off here, and they get it. Yesterday we did a tour of the Vietnam exhibit, so we had a shuttle full of folks who came from the Grants View Library. But things like that we've learned, you know, over the years that work pretty well, and we're always looking for things similar to that. I think that's it. Oh, I have these last few things that are pretty cool. This was fun. This is in the when we won the Stanley Cup, and you all remember that they brought the Stanley Cup to Soldiers. And the best part of this was, I honestly can't even remember how this all developed, but we basically got all these veterans down here with the cup, and there's Korean War veterans and, you know, Vietnam War veterans and younger veterans. But that was pretty cool. And then we do a lot of field trips with our volunteers. The most ambitious one was a trip out to Kansas City. We took them out there in a shuttle van and spent the day at the World War I Museum. And we went out to Scott Air Force Base, took all the volunteers out there, and it was able to tour the aircraft of the 54th Airlift Squadron. These are basically like kind of like Air Force One type planes. They shuttle around a lot of senators and different folks, kind of some VIP movement around the country. So that was a good time. I think that's it. Yeah. So just a couple of cool things. I think it's been going well. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you know, most of you have been partners for so long now, you know, ever since I've been here, been working with you, and it's been really special. And you're always so helpful and committed to, you know, any requests and whatnot.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks great. I like how you experiment.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And the upcoming programming looks great too. I mean, that's just really interesting. We've come once or twice, my family, in the last year. We need to even come more often. I really enjoy seeing the different programs as they come through. So I'm sorry that I've missed the Vietnam one. I actually had family in, so that's leaving soon, you said, right?
Yeah, the Vietnam exhibit will close Memorial Day, so you got a couple months left, and then
Okay.
that Vietnam breakfast is next Friday. And we are asking folks to register through mohistory.org. There's no payment, but we just needed to get a good head count. But it's a real breakfast. It's it's bacon, sausage, eggs. It's not just donuts and coffee.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's good.
but yeah, it would be great to, and I think things like that, I mean, how cool if every year the Vietnam veterans who, want to start their day, come down to Soldiers Memorial, get a breakfast here and, experience what we're doing. And, it helps us for attendance. It helps us for awareness.
Yeah,
Good
I'll
stuff.
definitely mention it to some friends and family that I have. So
Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jason.
Hey, Mark. Judith. Sorry, having trouble staying awake this afternoon. Had only about 4 hours of sleep last night.
Oh, no.
And I'm so lucky that I got to see you do this the first time.
Yeah, it was good. I thought that was a nice event. That was a Giving Circle event, and
It was really
that
nice.
was another experimentation. I think it was the first time we've done a breakfast, and we said, well, let's try a breakfast and see how that works. And it seemed to work pretty well. We had, I think, about 35 people here for that. So it was nice.
And it
One guy
was a
told me
lovely
that,
breakfast.
yeah, had nice comments, and so it was good.
Anybody else have any questions for Mark? This is Linnea.
It's kind of neat to see it all summarized and see where you're planning to go and seeing the numbers of visitors rise so nicely.
Yeah.
We continue that trend.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, seeing no questions, are there any new business or announcements that anyone would like to make?
Mark, if you were looking for new events, I know I mentioned it the day I was there for your original presentation, that I wonder if trips like I mentioned, like you do for your volunteers, would be a feature that would draw attendance. And since the museum, the History Museum, already does this, that there's built-in staff or contractors who could probably really help put that together.
Yeah, we do some of those, Judith. I don't think to the extent that you're thinking about. We will do one in I think it's in October. It's a discovery tour. So we basically work with Tammy Goldman, who conveniently is Mike Benso's partner, I guess you'd say. They're not married, but they've been living together for a long time. And she operates those tours. So usually once a year we get one that's military related. So when we open Ghost Army, we're looking at doing a trip that visits here at Soldiers Memorial, goes up to the Kemper Art Museum. One of the artists who worked with Ghost Army was a St. Louisan. Ed Bocascia was his name. And conveniently, his daughter is actually the conservator who conserved a lot of the Soldiers Memorial artifacts before they went on exhibit in 2018. Yeah. So she's going to talk a little bit about her father, and we're going to look at his artwork up at the Kemper. And then we're trying to get to the zoo and see how animals use deception and camouflage in their own setting. So it's kind of, I think that's about as creative as Mike and I have ever been. We're like,
that's pretty
we're going
creative.
to the military, we're going to the military museum, we're going to an art museum, and then we're trying to get to the zoo. And that's all based off of that Ghost Army exhibit that will open on September 25th. And so we try to do, maybe one of those a year working with Tammy to make sure that there's some kind of military related, Soldiers Memorial related tour. We don't do them real, it's not a big, we don't have a real big program established for it, but they do up there, and we're able to kind of piggyback on that for every now and then.
Sounds good. Any other new business or announcements or questions?
None here.
Can I call for a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Come in.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting that's held today, Thursday, March 21st, 2024, Soldiers Memorial Commission meeting, can I say here an aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? No? Okay, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.